want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. If God promises to never give us more than we can bear in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, why then do people, including believers, commit suicide and or leave the faith? Well, those two scenarios at the end are kind of independent of each other. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13 to begin with. It says that God will be able to provide an out in the midst of the temptation. Basically, what that famous verse is saying is that no matter what we're dealing with, God will give us the strength, the ability, and the provision to navigate it as we believe and trust on Him. So, that being said, why do people, quote, leave the faith, and why do seemingly believers commit suicide? Let's begin with the first one. I think 1 John chapter 2, beginning in verse 18, is the key to the question. It says that among you are many antichrists. Plural. Don't think the Antichrist, the famous beast of Revelation. And it says they departed from us because they were never a part of us. And one of my favorite statements to use, it's kind of, difficult to say, and people laugh at it times, is that a faith that fickles before the finish was false from the first. What that simply means is this. If someone, quote, objects, denies the faith, I think we have biblical reason to question if there ever was faith. Did they ever truly believe? Because there's so many scriptures about being indwelled with the Holy Spirit, bearing fruit, being a son and a daughter. And so therefore, I think those who abandon the faith never really, quote, were. Now, let's talk about suicide. Whole different issue. I've known people, I'm sure you've known people, that born-again believers seated in the heavens right now, but unfortunately, at some point, quote, took their life. I think it goes back to the question of 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says that God will always provide an out in the midst thereof. And I believe that those who unfortunately subject themselves to such horrific behavior, their eyes are obviously not on the Lord. They're on the scenario, they're on the problem, they're on the accusation, they're on the fear, the anxiety, even themselves. At the end of the day, I think the conclusion to all of this is actually found in the book of Numbers that Jesus alluded to in John chapter 3. Remember that the Israelites found themselves in sin, and the Lord had them create a bronze serpent that they put on a pole. And He said, if you look at the serpent, you'll be healed. If you look away, you won't. Jesus alluded to this to Nicodemus when He said he must be born again, talking about the Son of Man being lifted up. We go through some tough times in life. We go through some difficult times in life. And I think what 1 Corinthians 10:13 is saying is this, whether it be a temptation, a struggle, a difficulty, that if we keep our eyes on the Lord, it may not be fun, it may not be pleasurable, but He's going to get us through it. It's when we take our eyes off Him, we get in trouble. You don't believe me? Just ask Peter. Walking on water was easy till he looked away from Jesus. Great question. If you have one, send it to askjeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at askjeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.